Welcome to Film Unit!
Hi and welcome to Film Unit's podcast. We're back from a hiatus, but if you don't know about us, we're an independent and professional student-run cinema in the basement of the University of Sheffield Student Union. We're volunteer-run, so if you want to get involved or want to know what we're about, you can find us online at social media with at Film Unit on like Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And we are quite an impressive little group to join because we've been going since 1949, making us the longest running student film society in the UK. So if you want to get involved in that, feel free to message people, get involved, or just continue listening to kind of just hear the rambling that comes out of the Society of Film Unit. It is great. But so this week, in light of LGBT History Month in the UK, we're going to be talking about LGBT films. But before that, shall our marvellous guests introduce themselves?
I'm Asha. I'm third year psychology student, and I really like female cinema. I like indie cinema. Yeah, that's sort of my niche.
Classic. I'm Jack. I'm a third year computer science student, so I have no soul. And I like David Lynch and weird things. I haven't Yeah, it's all good. I've been on Film Unit for feels like forever, like 5 years or something.
That is forever at this point. 5 years is
so old. But yeah, no, yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on there, and that's all the things. You know, what a time to be alive. You know.
If anything, you're a great reason to promote Film Unit, because if you're still here after 5 years and you still want to stick around, clearly it's a group that you should want to be involved with, listeners. So just listen.
Well, so that's accurate, but it depends what listeners' opinions are of me. So if they don't like me, then it's like, this person stayed around for 5 years, you know. But it's but yeah, yes, but it is totally worth it. It's been the best thing I did at university. So
Yeah. If someone does not identify with you, I also stayed in Film Unit for 3 years. Ever since I went to that Harry Potter screening in the Freshers Week, I was just like, this is it. This is the shit. I love it, and I want to be involved in it.
Wait, that's true. Have I been... Yeah, I think I've been involved in for 3 years. I've definitely been ushering on the doors for, I think, 3 years. It's weird, because this last year both feels like it counts and also doesn't count, because we haven't been able to open to... historical reasons.
We don't talk about the panorama.
classic.
Nothing happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a totally normal year.
Health threats. No.
Yeah, I don't know what a mask is. It's just for superheroes. We don't deal with them.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
What do you do, Morgan?
Well, I study English, and if you've listened to this podcast before the hiatus, I'm still the same person. I'm still here. Haven't quite left yet. They haven't got rid of me yet. But so I study English at master's level now because I've been here long enough. But to be honest, I'd stay at Film Unit in Sheffield as long as I could, which I think is the general vibe of Film Unit in Sheffield as a whole. Everyone just wants to stay, and everyone wants to stay at Film Unit because it's excellent. We still have alumni from years back who love talking about it and coming back. So do get involved. Please do. Or just check us out if you're nosy, if you want an excuse to scroll through social media for a bit.
Yeah. We're going to have some online events soon, and if everything goes well, we should be having some real life events in the summer. So stay tuned for that. We will be announcing those.
Yeah, God, imagine being in person, real life events, not just in this digital landscape we've made a home in.
Crazy.
It's going to be
so
wild.
excited.
I will be there 100%. Just my eyes expanding to fit the entire Film Unit screening.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just so weird. This is my last year at uni, and it's been a while since I've started 5 years ago. But was it 5? No, this is my 6th year. No, this is my 6th year at university. It's my 5th year at Sheffield. This is such a weird year to kind of end my career at Film Unit. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
But
it's a very odd year. Just
yeah. But it's the 12th of February 2021 is like the first year ever where if the number is both a palindrome and also an ambigram, so if you flip it upside down on a calculator, it actually reads the same whether you flip it this way or this way, and that makes this unbelievably cool because I don't think this happened like ever. No, it definitely has. It definitely has.
Yeah, on the 1st and 11th of January in 11/11.
No, because it had to be 2011. It's like the full year. You know what I mean? If you shorten things, then it's easy. Having said that, I very specifically remember it being the 20th of May 2005 at 8 p.m, which is, because that's 2005 on 2005 on 2005, and I remember that, and it was a serene moment. And why did I mention any of that?
That's really good. You've got a really good memory if you can remember all the way back in 2005.
Yes.
I don't think I existed before 2010. I know I did. There's evidence, but mentally, I don't think I was fully developed as a person yet.
I was definitely not a person because, I'm fairly sure straight after this, I had a discussion about whether the Tooth Fairy was real. With my parents.
It's a crucial decision to have.
Yeah,
it's important. Every child has this.
It was a huge moment, mind blown. Hang on, no, that's a spoiler. We can't say any of that. Edit this out, okay? This because what happens if there's people that still believe in the Tooth Fairy? Come on, this is terrible.
I think our demographic is students.
Not with that attitude,
so...
What if there's some really advanced students? What if there's some 10-year-olds out there who have really nailed school and have already made it to university and have chosen Sheffield to come to?
Yes.
Alright, so on our first lecture in the module of Adulting is Hard,
yes,
the first note you make is the Tooth Fairy is not real.
Jesus.
We have to say that because I don't know from which point I'm going to edit it. I would edit it out.
Yes. That's true.
It's continuous stream of consciousness that we were having here.
Wow, that was an intense stream of, honestly, I can't even remember most of that. If you can't remember 2005, I can't remember that last 2 minutes, you know what I mean? So it's it's just, it fades in and out, it just phases.
That's the pandemic effect.
That sounds like a sound effect that should happen. It's that's number one, it's it's a button that anyway, I'm going to stop. Okay, I'm going to stop. It's fine.
I guess we probably should start talking about films, considering this is a podcast based on films and a cinema.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't have guessed from the first few minutes of this podcast, but it is technically about film.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe it's a podcast about film nerds who are not only film nerds, but also nerds who are passionate about satisfying dates.
Yes.
I think you can probably stop after nerds. just summarise it, this is a podcast with the nerds. Feel free to get involved if you also are a nerd. Message in. Do you like dates? Do you like films? Do you like film dates? I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, what a time to be alive. Genuinely. Before this, we talked about, merch. You know what I mean? As if this would ever get that big. You know what I mean? And it's
as if we'd ever be consistent.
Yeah.
As if we'd ever stay on topic long enough to develop merch.
You know what I mean?
Oh my god, you have the classic t-shirt!
Do you know what I mean? It says classic on it. You know what I mean? And that makes me really happy. You know what I mean? I found a t-shirt that said classic on it. It blows my mind.
For people who have not had a pleasure of meeting Jack Denny in person, Jack often says classic.
Yeah. It's a staple. What a time to be alive.
That's true. Listeners, if you want from now on, count how many times Jack says classic in the episode and message it in.
Yeah, the first person to correctly count all of those wins mentioned on Insta story, I don't know.
Honestly, it's not really classic anymore. It's more... classic is still there, but it's really what a time to be alive. That's the real one. But I realised... Anyway, I'm not going to say... I could... None of this has been about films.
Alright, do we want to talk about queer films?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's change the world.
Yes, let's.
Alright, just like before we organise the films, so we're gonna like go through like the L and D, the G, the B, the T, the Q. So yeah, so that's how we're gonna go through the podcast. Alright.
Yeah, we've got
The L
stretcher this
word.
word. Ooh, that's a good segment intro. Oh, you're nailing this. Going like head first off the L word, like just references pop culture and everything. You've nailed it.
Yeah.
God.
In fact, like, yeah. What? Honestly, this is almost like we thought of this beforehand. This is nuts. It's almost as if this was part of the plan. This is crazy. You know, like, I love it.
Oh my god. Podcasting? I've never heard of that. No.
This is just incidentally recorded. Like, none of this. This wasn't supposed to happen. I know all of these people. You know, this is just what we do. You know what I mean? But
special thanks to Mark Zuckerberg for emailing us our private conversation
Yes.
that just happened to be structured well.
honestly, what
I feel like if anything, this is a proper insight to how students' brains work, as in barely work, and it's just
a lot of noise, a lot of things about dates and numbers flipping over, and well, that's mine. I do. Yeah, right. Let's talk about letters and queerness. It's gonna be great. Let's do it. Films.
Okay,
Alright.
so the L word. Do you guys want to pitch your films first?
Alright. Let's go, lesbians. Let's go. If people know
Excellent
they know
reference.
the audio. It's an excellent audio. Yeah. Ooh, want to start off quite a recent film by Olivia Wilde. Booksmart, because when I was researching for this episode, I looked at the article of like bisexual films, and they mentioned Booksmart, and I quote: "Diva's character is gay, but the girl she has crush on seems to be into guys and girls." And if you thought I misread the sentence, no, this is how it was written in Men's Health article.
Booksmart deserves better than that. It's such an excellent film, and I did see it in Film Unit, so not saying that we show excellent films, but
we do. Like, that's what we're trying to say. Don't give up mixed messaging. We don't show crap films. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't actually. To be fair, sometimes we do. We've shown The Room twice. Like, I'd happily like make us show Birdemic. But you know, sorry, we do show crap films sometimes, but they're intentionally bad. So I'm gonna stop. Right, you know, like
let's get off crap films onto excellent films, as in Booksmart, which I would recommend anyone to watch. It's so funny. It's just wonderful. And was I personally attacked through most of the film? Yes, but that doesn't matter because it's just an excellent film. And I think.
Oh, did you feel really attacked? Because I felt represented.
I mean, I was a nerd in school who spent all my time studying and not partying, and then also can't really strike up a conversation with a girl. So the entire film is a very subtle dig at me, I found. It was excellent representation, but also a subtle dig.
Yes. Yeah.
But they were cool. They, like, I think... Wait, I would like to imagine how the popular kids see that film. Because I imagine... when they think of, like, the nerds, they think they're not cool. And what this film shows to you is, like, you can be a nerd. You can be focused on school and not socializing and still be cool. And we think of ourselves as cool. So, do they get to appreciate the coolness of being a dedicated student?
They probably didn't. But then also, I feel like saying the way you described them is very much Film Unit people. We're all dedicated, but we are all definitely nerds who think we're very cool. But I don't know if external people would also agree with us. But I think we're cool. I think we're a very cool group.
Yeah.
That honestly, that you could edit that into like that's such a good sample. Like honestly, like if like that sounds like something that happened just before a beat drop. Like we're very cool. We're very cool people. No, sorry. Like why did that? I gotta stop. You know.
That's Film Unit's first album. It's the first hit. It's like we're cool. We're cool. It's like beat drop.
Yeah, exactly. Or it'd be like at the beginning of the song, like in Loaded, where it says, "Just what is it that you want to do?" And instead of that, it's just we're cool. We're very cool. This is fine. You know, it just Then it kind of starts. Yeah, absolutely.
If I remember, Booksmart does have a good soundtrack. I remember definitely being like, "This is a good film." I think films these days have to have good soundtracks if we all demand it now. We're like, we want something we can vibe with. Especially when it's got about teenagers. If they don't have like funky songs to dance to, what's the point?
Yeah. Even if they go to stretches as the one in Charlie when the bunch of indie kids did not know David Bowie. Yeah, they made that choice just to put David Bowie in the film because that film suits to be the Tunnel song.
We're talking about, but also, which film are we talking about here? Booksmarts?
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
I was going to say, I don't remember that in Booksmarts. Don't driving. Yeah, no.
Yeah, sorry, because the Polish film is Charlie. That's why I jumped to that. Yeah, because they're a bunch of indie kids who do not know who David Bowie is.
Yeah, that's really
that
surreal.
Throws me. But that's the second time today I've heard people discovering David Bowie, and I forget that people just don't listen to David Bowie from birth, because my parents are big David Bowie fans, so I can't imagine life without David Bowie playing in the background. So the fact that people have to discover him is a very weird concept to me.
But do people discover him?
Yes.
I think they might not know who he is, but then they hear his song and they know them.
Yeah, I mean...
At least from Shrek.
Yeah, Shrek 2 changes. Excellent reference.
Yeah, I mean, my dad listened a bit to David Bowie, but it wasn't really till I got to university that I kind of really discovered David Bowie. And it was only I only listened to I listened to the hits and stuff like that, but I didn't actually listen to the entirety of Ziggy Stardust until the day that he kind of near around he died, and it's kind of just a bit after that. And it was only on that day I listened to it the first time, and the last track, Rock and Roll Suicide, is probably it's the first time I ever heard it, and it's probably one of my top 5 songs ever, and it was such a weirdly surreal moment to discover that then. It reminds me of dropping out of university, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing to remember, but it was the best decision I ever made, and that is something we should cut out. So but yeah.
The uni aren't sponsoring this. They're not going to come after. They're also far too busy complaining about COVID to listen to this.
Yes, exactly. All of those things. But yeah, what a time to be alive. Yeah, looking at the sound, I've forgotten how good the soundtrack to Booksmarts is. It's got the Death Grips in there for some reason. It's got everything. It's got Perfume Genius, LCD Sound System, DJ Shadow. Honestly, what a moment! This is incredible. Yeah. To be
fair, I don't even remember those titles except for one, but I just remember watching it. It really well fit with the film. That's also you can't just slap a good song onto a film. You need to know
Tell that to Tarantino.
How to use
it. Yeah, you are right though.
I mean, I have a lot to say to Quentin Tarantino, but I don't know if we want to start on that.
But that's okay. Let's talk about other films. What letter are we even doing now?
L.
I think we're still on the L.
We're still at L. We haven't gone past it.
Okay. But we talked about soundtracks for however long that was.
Yeah, but okay, so I haven't actually finished my thought on the Booksmart, because that's why I quoted the article, because they tried to say that the lesbian in Booksmart is bisexual, and I don't think they mentioned she was lesbian, but also they kind of spoke about her romantic interests in a way that implicated that she has no interest in men. And it's quite hard because, should we assume that she's lesbian, or should we require for each character to always explicitly state their label?
That's also true, because when you look at also representation in films, you're more likely to see gay and lesbian representation than you are to see bisexual or transgender sexual representation. I don't know if it's just because it has to be explicit, or whether we should maybe start in that. The thing is, it's I feel like we should have just more of every character in films, so we don't need to be trying to choose between, where do we put them?
I know what you meant to say there, but more of every character sounds terrible, because then it would just it would just be like just several of the same character in the same. Sorry, I just I don't know why that thought. I don't know why. Sorry, I know what you meant though. Like that is, I agree, but I don't think we need more than one Jar Jar Binks in the Phantom Menace.
No, I think it should look like Halloween, where no one in the group communicated, but all turned up as the same character, and just dozens of every character.
Yes,
all at once.
Absolutely, 100%. That should happen in every film. Godfather, Imitation Game. Everyone should be Alan Turing that in the Imitation Game, but what a time to be alive. Yeah. So let's go into. Should we continue on the L, or should we go?
Yeah, I mean, we talked only about one film. What are your thoughts on Blue is the Warmest Colour? Because Blue is the Warmest Colour was like one of the first films I've heard as like, this is lesbian cinema. This is what represents lesbians. And even when I watched for the first time, and that was like one of the first lesbian films I ever saw it, I'm like, this is not good. It's kind of awkward.
Yeah, I must admit, I've heard very mixed reviews, so I haven't got round to watching it yet. Because there's so many good lesbian films that I've kind of tried to see first. Like, But I'm a Cheerleader. Like, we played that at film. I'm just going to keep mentioning films we played at Film Unit, but that was I wouldn't say an excellent film because it is exactly what you'd expect from a film called But I'm a Cheerleader, where RuPaul plays a straight man in it, just to summarise to viewers the kind of level of film we're talking about. But I think there's so many dull, like heteronormative films that are just bad that I think there should be equality and as many bad LGBTQ+ films.
Yes. Yeah, like if you have room to make a bad film, even though it's like meant to be meaningful, we are doing well. But also on the topic of But I'm a Cheerleader, because their romantic interest from that film, she became a director and she did Happiest Season. Has any of you watched Happiest Season?
No, but everyone I know who has is very mad at it, so I'm scared to watch.
I've not seen it.
Apparently not everyone, because I was furious. But I literally made my friend call me.
Can we explain why? Because I've not seen this film. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so this is like 2020 film with Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis. Right. And they are dating for quite a while. I think like 2 years of the sort of a film. And they are about to go on holidays to Mackenzie Davis' parents. And in the car, on the way, that's the moment she chooses to tell Kristen Stewart that she's in a closet. And Kristen Stewart is forced to play her orphan roommate. And it's very weird. And yeah, I was not happy with that film. Because just the Mackenzie Davis character is quite toxic in my opinion. And I just wanted Kristen Stewart to break up with her and get with Audrey Plaza. Because she plays Mackenzie Davis' ex.
Ooh.
Yeah,
what's this film
and
called
she
again?
looks amazing in it.
What's this film called again?
Sorry? Happiest Season.
But also it is a Christmas film, and we should remember that all Christmas films have some level of badness to them because they are Christmas films.
Except It's a Wonderful Life, which is perfect. And no, It's a Wonderful Life is in my top 5 films of all time. I will fight you on that.
I haven't seen it.
It is weaponized happiness. It is like mainlining the happiest thing that's ever happened. Have you seen it, Morgan?
Yeah, it's not even in my top 5 Christmas films.
It's what? No.
No.
It's on it. Like I watch that almost every year, and I cry buckets every single year just because of the group hug. You know, the bit at the end.
Oh yeah.
That just absolutely, like, the rest of the film is okay, but it's just the build up to that. I'm just absolutely in tears. Like that. I don't. Maybe because I didn't watch it from like a young age, I don't have the emotional attachment I have with other films like A Muppet's Christmas Carol, which I still. Oh, that's fantastic! That's second best Christmas film ever. Like,
but it's a wonderful life. It's so miserable. It's so miserable.
But it isn't though, because of the end. where it goes.
It's the thing is, the ending isn't even that happy. Everyone's like, it's the happiest ending ever. It's not. It's not even like a happy ending.
What?
It's like going, oh, the worst case scenario didn't occur, therefore it's a good happy ending. It's like,
no, it's not even about that. It's about that, like, this person thought, okay, massive spoilers, right? But it's about this person that thought, like, they weren't even worth. It wasn't even worth living, right? And they were just so absolutely crushed by that. And at the end, everyone just, even though everything's shit, everyone gets together and does something for this person. And it's like this person rediscovers, like, what the point of living is, you know? And he just kind of discovers it all at the same time. There's lights, there's a huge group hug, it all gets together, and it gives me shivers just thinking about it. It is one of the most beautiful sequences I've ever experienced in any film.
Are you guys
I've had a lot of problems with depression and these sorts of things, and that just really just, like, it was but, you know, if you don't have that's entirely fair, you know, I could see that, but it's okay, you know, it's okay. Muppets Christmas movie is great. It's not the best Muppets movie. I think the Muppets movie is the best just because of the Rainbow Connection, but but that's okay. I give it a solid. Morgan's Frozen. I think this is a good point to move on. Can I? Yeah. Ooh, I can think of a film that fits into the L. Have any of you seen Carol?
Oh yes, Carol is actually the reason I made a massive embarrassment of on my previous appearance on the podcast, because Reese asked me who my favourite actor was, and I just thought about Kate Blanchett in Carol because she was fantastic in it and gorgeous, and I was just like, Kate Blanchett. And then he asked me about her other roles, which I have not seen, but I still picked her to say that she's my favourite actress.
Yeah.
It was so stressful.
That film is really stressful. It's
tragic.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah, but I don't really answer if the ending is happy or not.
Exactly.
Did they? Yeah, that's what.
And that's okay.
I've seen it quite a long time ago.
It feels kind of messy. It feels messy and heartbreaking, and also at the same time kind of joyous. And you know, just for these things, it just kind of builds to this thing, and then it just turns to this fairly quiet note of it, and there's just a look that happens in it. You know. Where, you know,
just like life.
Yeah,
to be fair.
It's messy, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. It feels too real, and it feels like it feels almost kind of voyeuristic. It feels like it's like we're looking into this incredibly like personal moment from someone else's life, and like the performances are so good that it feels so real and so just stunning. And I was absolutely won over it. It's just one of my favorite films of the last few years. It came out 2015, I believe. I remember seeing the cinema and I just loved it. You know?
Yeah, it's so good and so beautiful. Yeah.
Though I'm thinking about Kate Blanchett's other roles, and have either of you seen Ocean's 8?
Yes.
Because while that's not explicitly anything, there's something going on between Kate Blanchett and Sandra Bullock in that film, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
Yeah, and they also continued that over interviews, because I have not seen Ocean's 8, but I'm on TikTok, and TikTok is obsessed with shipping Kate Blanchett, Sandra Bullock, Sarah Paulson, and they encourage that. They know what they are saying in the interviews, and it makes people go crazy.
Yeah, but people on the internet generally go crazy, I think.
You haven't seen anything I was about to talk about the Shia LaBeouf thing. Have you seen that about He Will Not Divide Us? No. Does this ring a bell? It's about Flag.
Wait, is that a video? Is that a film?
It's I'm gonna not talk about that because it's not this bad, but it's kind of so irrelevant to anything. But it's just about the internet going crazy. But you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, internet has infinite capacity of going crazy.
Yeah, but it's where all the crazy people are. The internet.
So when Donald Trump was elected, Shia LaBeouf went, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a camera on Times Square, right, and we're going to chant in front of it saying, he will not divide us, for his entire presidency as an act of rebellion. The thing is if you just put a camera and let anyone do anything in front of it,
oh no,
anything can go on there. So 4chan discovered this. And so what they did is they sent over people wearing costumes that they definitely shouldn't have done, and kind of dance around in front of it. Now, what this really triggered Shia. So Shia hit someone, got arrested for assault, so they took down the camera. They then moved it to New Mexico, where someone pulled a gun out in front of the camera, so then they had to move it somewhere else. So then Shia went, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to point it at a flag, right, and it's going to say, he will not divide us, and that's how it's going to go. So he did that. The thing is the camera. There's no information around of where I am, so no one's going to find this. They pointed at the sky, and the thing is, if you point at the sky, you can see planes moving, right? So using the planes,
so people.
Yes, and they used the constellations to triangulate exactly where it was. So what they did is they did that, and then they replaced the flag with a MAGA hat, just because, the opposite of that. So then they put it in then he was like, right, where should I put it next? So he went to the Tate Museum in Liverpool, and he put the flag on top of the building there, because that's got private security. People can't just break into that. They did, and they did exactly the same thing, and then within 24 hours, they got rid of the exhibit. Then he placed it in a shed in the middle of nowhere, right? They found it, they broke it, and they replaced the flag. And then finally...
How?
Because they were able to tell based on how the light entered in the thing, I think. So they were able to say where the sun was, and because they could see what time zone that meant, they could, I think that's how they did it. I think they might have also rerouted the IP address, but I'm not exactly sure. And then eventually he put it in his mate's house in the basement, and there it sat for the rest of the time. This whole thing saying he will not divide us was eventually pointed at a flag in someone's basement, which they couldn't get to. And that really is, that is the internet going weird, right? Anyway, why did I have to explain that? I don't know. I just love that story.
Let's.
It sounds interesting.
It's insane. Let's face it. It's insanity, but it was funny.
Yes.
And I like funny insanity, not when it gets. But we should probably get back to films.
Yes. Yeah.
Should we move on to the next letter? I just want to say one thing. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is one of the best films ever made.
Yeah.
And anyone listening to it should just go and watch it. If Film Unit ever reopens again, I'm sure we'll probably show it again, because I think
definitely.
we all love it, so we'll definitely vote to show it again. It's such an excellent film, and it's just the plot, the acting, the characters, it's just so well done that if you want a film to watch tonight, watch that one.
Yeah.
But we should probably move on to the...
when you can, when talented people can make very simple films really interesting.
Yeah.
Because, it's basically 4 characters in one house over, 2 weeks. There's not that much happening in the film.
But there's so much happening.
You can't look away. You just lose track of time, and you just yes, this is fantastic.
It's just how every shot looks like a painting, and it's beautiful.
Yes. I mean, if you, I'd say if you go out of your way to make a film about some things, and you set out to do certain things with that film, and you succeed at those goals to the best possible ability, and you include nothing else, that is basically a perfect film. And I'd say that Portrait of a Lady on Fire it's the last film I saw before the bad things happened, with the virus and stuff. But I saw it in the BFI in South Bank in London. It's still one of the most magical experiences I've ever had watching a film. So much that isn't being said is still being you can feel it. It's this tangible kind of atmosphere within the film that's just it feels so human and yet so beautiful. It's it's some kind of surreal, I don't know, it's this weird world where only 4 people exist, and it's but it's still, everything is just so stunningly realised and so stunningly framed in this incredible atmosphere and intangible, I want to say viscosity of just how everything feels together. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use it as a sidetrack to the next letter as a film that I think wishes it was Portrait of a Lady of Fire, but is nowhere near as good. And this is gonna be quite controversial. I don't like Call Me by Your Name.
Oh.
I've read the book. I've watched the film.
Present your argument.
It's just for me. Like, I don't know if it was because I read the book at the same time and I didn't like the book. It was there's something about it. Like, it just seems like it's very much beautiful. It's very much like the shots and stuff. I can't deny the soundtrack. It's very, very visually beautiful. But the plots and the characters, I just couldn't quite connect. There was something about them that I don't like. And in the book, I dislike it more. So I don't know if that tarnishes my opinion of the film or anything, but it's not a good film. Like, it's a decent film, but it's not like what I would put in my top 10.
Alright, because my experience was completely different. Like, my experience with Call Me By Your Name started when it just came out, and I've heard about it, and I felt like, oh, it just smells like Oscars. So I wanted to watch it before the award show, so I could tell if it got the Oscars for being good, or did it get awards for gays, because we know that Oscars can be political. So it actually happened that I had a free afternoon on Valentine's Day.
Oh.
And I took myself on a date. And I sat in a cinema full of couples watching Call Me By Your Name. Then I left the cinema to cry after the film, because
Spoilers.
I felt like if I started crying in a cinema full of couples, it would be just too embarrassing. But at first, I actually thought that film made me really uncomfortable. Because it just felt horny.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because the main character is a 17-year-old boy.
It's just horny with aesthetic shots. That's what it is.
What about the ending?
Yeah, but it is...
That's none of those
that's
things.
the emotional stuff, but...
Spoilers, by the way. I completely give us, the spoilers. Do not... I want to discuss... if you're going to have to defend this film, you have to give spoilers.
Okay, spoilers ahead.
Jump ahead if you don't want it being spoiled, or just stop, watch it, then come back.
Yeah. You should watch it to form your opinion, because it's just so nice. But even feeling that it was making me uncomfortable because of how horny it was, I still was amazed by how it just transported me into Italian summer, because I left and it was February evening and I was shocked. I forgot what reality I escaped in that film. So that was fabulously done. But then I couldn't stop thinking about the film. It just stuck with me. It moved me so much. I just had to watch it again and again and again. And then I wanted to read a book, but people told me that Polish translation was shit. So I actually waited a year until I moved to England to buy an English copy of the book. So I've read the book, and it, at the same time, was better and worse, because book has the time to go into details that the connection between Elio and Oliver was not only physical. It was a big point that because Elio's family was so intellectual, he was an intelligent boy, but he was still treated like a boy. He was always undermined, and it was only Oliver who spoke to him in a way that made him feel like an equal. And that was very special to Elio, and that was their connection. They continuously amazed themselves in how intellectually compatible they were. So reading the book, you understand that it was love and not just desire. But it was also in a big part desire, and you have to accept it, because that's also what Andrei Asiman really likes. He's very accustomed with animalistic nature of humans. He pushes it a bit too far, because that's why he does the scene when they, mix the pee in the toilet or in the sequel, like, people don't wash themselves after sex because they want to feel like the sex on their skin, if that
I like
makes
the
sense.
toilet thing, not the fact that in the book he fucks the peach and then it's eaten. Like, it's a big spoiler, but it's also like I'm glad they cut that bit out of the film. I must admit, I didn't want to see anyone eating a fucked peach.
But to be fair, is it that different than swallowing?
It's still...
Sorry, can we just... What? This is amazing. No context.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like...
Cheers to my dad who wants to listen to that episode, but no. We're gonna talk about it. Because people are, like, very disturbed by him fucking a peach and then him eating the semen.
Mm.
But if
to put it
the
bluntly,
act of
yeah.
consummating semen is so disturbing to you, do you also have the same amount of hate to swallowing?
I mean, I'm
not saying this on a podcast my parents are gonna maybe listen to.
Let's just edit this bit out. But
yeah.
or we could just randomly edit it into a completely irrelevant part of a different podcast. Just like, is it so different from swallowing? Just that bit, just for no reason. You know, but regardless.
But you are still not answering my argument.
I think it's because also it's not like it's immediate. The peach sits there for a bit. It's like it's like swallowing. It's instant. It's there instantly. You have the decision instantly. You don't then. It's like if you walked up to like someone who spilt milk on the side and were like, "I'll drink this now." Like, no, you don't. It's a hot summer. It's not going to be good.
It doesn't go off that quickly, I think.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah, but also, that scene has a meaning. It's not just like, oh, it's going to be exotic if someone fucks a fruit.
It's a horny 17-year-old. That's all it is.
Yeah, but what's important is that he cries after that, because Elio is terrified of his sexuality. Not just like him being gay, it's him having a sexuality. It's such a new force in his life that he is terrified by it. And that's why he cries. That's why Oliver has to comfort him. And that's why he eats the peach in a book. Because, like, that's him saying that people are freaky. People do freaky stuff.
Yeah, but we all go through puberty. We don't all fuck peaches.
Not with that attitude.
Like it's good. Like I feel like you get a UTI. Like, it's fruit. It's sugar.
Toothbrushes. Like I've seen many shows that present masturbation with like a toothbrush, and it's not.
What? This is amazing. Like this is.
It's just people do weird things because of their sexual desires.
Yeah,
and you can be very uptight about it, and it's okay if someone chooses to. But if someone wants to be open about it, I think, like, I'm
not sure he's open about it. I think like, he didn't, like, go, I'm gonna fuck a peach, and I don't care what you think about it, just in the middle of the house, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a fairly private moment. Honestly, I thought the peach bit was, like, I thought it was a bit surreal, but I also kind of, like, that's, like, I could imagine that happening when you're 17, and, you know?
Yeah, like, you know? I would
especially
not judge a friend if they told me that they did it.
Yeah.
I'd laugh at them, but...
Yeah, you would laugh, because it is funny, but it's just okay. It's weird,
I don't know if it's
it's okay.
I don't know if it's because everyone really romanticises this film. They're like, this is what romance is, it's what, like, everything is, and I don't think I like that. Because it's also, like, there is an age gap there, and whilst, like, he is, like, 17 and he is intelligent, he is still 17, and I don't like the way it's really romanticised, this relationship, because it's not particularly healthy. It's, like, it's really, really intense, and it's probably important for both of them, but it's also not something you really want to do long-term, because it's not that healthy, and I think people really glorify it.
I mean, like, so the thing is, I don't even think you need to... The thing is like, I don't even think you need to like the relationship to see it, because it's so weird. like the whole film. Like it's so in terms of like he's fucking a peach, and they put so much effort on the fucking the peach. And I found honestly, I projected that film at Film Unit, and I remember the fucking the peach bit. I was in the projection booth when that happened. It's like the same way that you remember where you were when like 9/11 happened.
Flashbulb memory.
It's just like I remember being in the projection booth and going, "Wow, I never thought I'd see this with so many people. With someone fucking a peach. I never thought I'd see that, and I never thought I'd see it with so many people. But anyway, like I thought it didn't matter what you thought about the relationship. I think it's just like, if anything, the fact that it was kind of a bit weird, like kind of added to it. It's kind of like they even though it was so like it was kind of unhealthy and kind of all these things, it still like it meant so much to them. You could see that. It also like it doesn't run away from the fact that they're not that they're not some kind of weird kind of like super like ultra everything's perfect kind of romantic lead that you usually see in a romance film where everyone's just kind of everything's perfect. Like I think there is stuff to criticize about this film, mainly about the treatment of the what's his face's girlfriend. And how she's just disposed of. I think that
He's
really
horrible to him.
like he was, but it was also like the film was horrible to her as well because it barely kind of. I thought there's a lot to kind of like the film's like 3 hours long. It's fucking long. You know what I mean? It's like you could spend some time to kind of like that's. I found that quite interesting, and it wasn't even talked about. You know what I mean? And also like just the way the camera moved around just says I didn't like that, but right. Like, just the way it kind of played it, the way it kind of showed it made their relationship. I believed that they were in love. You know what I mean? I believed that it meant something to them. And just for that, just because, like, there's so many films about romance, right? There's so many films about romance about straight people, going, oh no, I dropped a chocolate in a cinema. Oh no, and I picked it up. Let's fuck. It's like, like that's the entire relationship. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not, that's no way to live. But this felt real. It felt weird because all relationships are weird. Like, there's no perfect relationship ever, And I thought the way that you clearly felt it meant a lot to them, and the fact that crying at the end, like I remember projecting that, and when the credits started rolling, like normally we turn the lights on and let people leave, but I didn't. Right, I left the lights off. But I turned up the kind of landing lights so people could see their way out if they didn't want to. Not a single person moved until even into like the real credits, when like the crying stops. And
yeah, you need a second to process what you just saw.
Yeah, like I would say the film is way too long. Like I say it's about an hour and a half too long. It doesn't need to be 3 hours.
How long is
like
it?
3 hours or something. It's so long. It's like. Yeah, like,
But were you bored? Because I've watched that film 20 times, and I was never bored.
It's not 3 hours long.
It always feels like a normal film.
Sorry, it's not 3 hours long. It's 2.25 hours long. But it felt ages. It felt interminable. The thing is, the last 45 minutes of that film are just, like, you can discard the rest of that film, Like, I thought the rest of it was good. The last 45 minutes of the film, like that chat he has with his dad, the crying bit, all of that, when they're kind of like, the scenes where they're dancing in the streets and stuff, all of that was just poetically beautiful. Like, like, there are problems with that film. It did feel, again, like, I don't think it even being, like, you gotta have a bloody good reason for something to be longer than an hour and a half, Like, I'm sorry, like, like fucking 2001 A Space Odyssey in just less than 3 hours went from the beginning of civilization to, like, the end and maybe the beginning of a new one, right? And it did that in 3 hours, right? This goes from the beginning of a relationship to the end of one in 2.25. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not, it's like, it's still way too long. But I liked it.
No, it isn't. It's like a full universe of their relationship, and
I think it should be shorter. I agree with you, Jack. I don't think they need all of that.
No.
Half of it was an advertisement for Italy, which I was there for. Like, I want to go to Italy for summer now, but I didn't need to see all of it for this relationship.
Oh, I don't know. I think it would feel much more shallow if it was shorter. Like, maybe that's just me, but like I was never bored. Especially that, like you have Jack, you have not read the book.
No.
But the book is actually like way more stupidly structured because Morgan, do you remember that bit when they are like at some poetry premiere party?
Oh god,
and
yeah.
the scene goes on forever. And it's absolutely pointless. They are not even interacting with each other. It's just like some poet talking about like Asian women in some like fetishizing way. And it's just like, why is that scene there?
Yeah.
What's the point?
I didn't realise how controversial this is going to be, but it's not the film for me. I don't know if it's just whether I didn't like it, because loads of people told me I'd love it, and then I was like, is this it? But I don't know if it's because it was overhyped for me or something, because sometimes, you know, when films get overhyped for you and then you watch it, you're like,
Yeah, maybe it was overhyped, because I was like underhyped before seeing it.
Yeah.
And it exceeded my expectations, so I stuck with it. I mean, I also like personally kind of relate to the story in details I don't want to get into, but yeah,
fucking a
it's
peach.
just it's like actually about it, because like do you know that Andre Yasimin was in Sheffield?
No.
Yeah,
who's Andre Yasimin?
Yeah,
who's that?
The author
of the book.
I even went to the talk he did. I don't like the book. Not really expand the film, and I still went to the talk to be like, maybe this will redeem it.
Oh no, he actually made it worse, because that actually explains why the girl is such like minuscule in the film. I don't think Andrew Yassaman likes women too much. He has a wife, don't get me wrong. I just would not call him a raging feminist. He has the audacity to say that that Elliot's mum is a very boring woman, and in the sequel, actually, his parents get divorced, and the whole story, like half of the book, is about his dad having an affair with younger women, because he literally said, I can't imagine why a man who gives that speech that he gives at the end of Call Me By Your Name would be with such boring women.
You fucking invented that person. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
yeah,
like,
he
you
could have
fucking
written
tell
her
me,
better,
like,
but he
you know,
didn't.
like, it's your fucking fault that you wrote it that way. So don't fucking, it's like, it's like, you can't complain why, like, oh, I just don't understand this character. You literally fucking made it. That's, like, you know what I mean? It's that's the terrible argument.
Yeah, just admit you can't write women.
Yeah.
It's a common problem. Yeah. It's not the only one to have it, but...
Yeah. Have you seen that subreddit, men writing women?
Oh
yes.
It's magical. It's intense.
Yeah. I wonder how often they mention, because they often go for like low profile authors. But I remember being in middle school and reading Carrie by Stephen King. And there's a scene when Carrie gets bullied in the shower, and girls throw tampons at her because she got her period in the shower. And he writes that one of the tampons got stuck in her pubic hair. I mean, it doesn't even require knowing female body. Like, you just should know that no hair works in that way.
Yes.
To be able to capture a flying tampon. Oh yeah, we've been recording
for
Oh shit.
Okay. So any final remarks on Call Me By Your Name?
I think it's beautiful. I think it is overrated. Because like the way it treats the girlfriend, and like actually now come to think the mum as well. Like she's barely in it, and like the whole thing is just essentially around this guy's dad. Which now you've explained that about this guy makes the film significantly worse. But I think it does tell a really like kind of, you know, quite universal story about just a messy relationship. But even though it was messy and it shouldn't, they still meant so much to everyone, and like you really felt that, and I think that's fairly beautiful. And you know, I mean, I've watched it 3 times, partly because I projected it. But I thought it was pretty good. I do think it's overrated. I do think people think it's the next whatever.
I think the big part of the hype is just people simping over Timothy.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I don't know many people who love the film as much as I do in ways that I do. It's just people being horny over him.
Classic.
Yeah, I do think, almost in an ironic sense, the film's about being horny, and a lot of people like the film because they are also horny. But I do think it's a little overrated. It's a very beautiful film. It does a lot of things right, and it's like a well-made film, I'd say. But I do think it's overhyped, and I don't think it's like the best of like LGBT cinema.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't go too deep into struggles of being gay. They have to keep it low-key, and they kind of mention it, but it was actually Luca's point to kind of remove homophobia from the story. To make it as little present as possible, just so he can explore the love, because that's what he wanted. And I think that's quite clear message of the film. Just accepting love, accepting being human, accepting emotions, accepting sexuality in all of its weirdness and chaos. And I think that's just what the film's trying to say. We should not idealize any of the characters, because it's just like Elio mistreating the girl and stuff. But they are just all human, and it's a human story about humans. And the way he does her wrong is a very typical way of mistreating people in relationships.
Yeah, but that's not really how it's portrayed. It's portrayed as it happened, but it doesn't matter because they're in love, and that's what I didn't like. You know what I mean? I thought that was such. Sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry.
You're meant to be doing closing remarks, not the start of the 27 debates.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's what people feel like. Like, she would have grudge over it. But that's kind of why they do the scene when she forgives him. Because after she realizes there's something deeper going on, she offers to forgive him. Yeah, and it's kind of similar as in Lady Bird, where her boyfriend cheats on her, literally.
Spoilers.
But because it's because of the discovering alternative sexuality turmoil, she forgives him, and I don't think that's uncommon.
Still doesn't fully excuse it, but I feel like we're getting into the whole other ethics thing.
Honestly, you're just opening up so many questions that I just want to, so we'll just... Yeah,
so Call Me By Your Name has we all have different opinions on it. It's perfectly valid. Other listeners will have different opinions on it. If they particularly hate something we've said, please start sending us angry messages. We just talking about film, but it's a good film, and it did get a lot of people talking about representation and queer love, so I think it is important, and we can't really undermine that. But I think we also can't rush through talking about all this LGBTQ plus film, so I guess tune in again next week if you want to hear more of this, but as we go through all the letters, because my god, we're gonna keep rambling and just...
Yeah, but we want to do all the films justice, so
yeah, so I guess tune in again for more recommendations and
hopefully next week.
More debates, more rambling, more real off topics, but
yeah, if we have any comments for us, email them to us at film.unit at sheffield.ac.uk.
Also, if you have any recommendations, feel free to email them in. If you want to tell people that there's a film for LGBT cinema that you want people to know about, message. We'll talk about it.
We are also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And see you.
Yeah, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, well done.
It's been emotional.
Hopefully see you.
It's been emotional. Goodbye from somewhere in northern Italy.
Ooh.
All right.
Goodbye from somewhere not as warm as there.
Yeah, good. Yeah, all of those things. You know, like goodbye. It's goodbye from Sheffield.